I'm excited and honoured to be joined by Ben Clark and Irene Clark in the run-up to the record release of the new StoLyette record, which is called Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I find it really interesting that the first one is called Lubi Maya. Which is, I think, Sweetheart. Is that correct? Like loosely translated.
Like beloved.
Yeah.
My darling. Yeah.
The second one is called Mitch, because by that point you had a third member in the band, Mitch, who many people will know as the drummer in Beasthead.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mitch is still with you,
Yes.
and now we have Summer. So it's interesting, the first two EPs refer to a person, whether it's like a generic person, like the idea of a sweetheart, and now it's a time.
That's a cool observation.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Is there any significance to that?
Significance to it? I guess, yeah. I mean, the first one, lyrically was inspired by different women in my life.
Yeah, I read that.
So it was all women that were close to me that were going through various tremendous difficult times in their life. So it was a lot of me feeling pain for them and me kind of getting through the darkness of very, very difficult moments in the lives of women that I love. So that's Ljubima.
So women in your life.
My darling,
Yeah.
And then Mitch was inspired by the drumming of Mitch.
Yeah.
That's a pretty straightforward.
And you were saying that Mitch Miller
Yes.
is the individual in question.
Yeah.
And so he attended various StoLyette events and was a fan. Yeah.
Yes.
And would come up to you and say he thought it was great. So how did we get from there to him being in the band and him being such a central component of the band that, you know, the EP is called Mitch?
Yeah. The first few shows that we did. So Ben has been doing music his whole life.
Absolutely.
He's, super brilliant musically.
Yeah.
And
in Hotel, Tiny Deaths,
Yeah.
and you were touring with Police. Is that?
Oh, I played a couple shows with them. That was just filling in.
Yeah.
And so he's always done music, and I begged him for years to let me join. And finally he said, "All right, we'll try some Russian covers."
Yeah.
So and I was so nervous.
Of traditional Russian
folk songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but Ben did really creative things with bass on them, so it didn't sound like the original songs anymore because he was doing his own stuff with it.
And what is Ben's stuff? Because it's quite distinct. How are you playing the bass? What's the special way in which you're playing the bass?
Well, it started in Votel. I guess there was a couple shows where the guitar player couldn't make it, and I had a delay pedal, and I just started figuring out, well, he's really only doing this and that, and then I said I could probably do that too.
Yeah.
And then I just added that in so that we could do a couple shows without him, and then we started writing more songs, and I just started doing more like layering stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I started playing with Irene, she brought the traditional songs in, and when we first did those, we were just playing in the back room at home.
At our yeah.
So I just kind of slowly started trying to figure out how I could add a little component here or different things to add to it. So I took 3 delay pedals, and then I pushed them to 3 different spaces. Because if you're dealing with frequencies that are all in that, so if you have all the same frequencies coming to you from the same standpoint in the space, it's gonna sound muddled. But if you move them around and have them coming with slightly different tones, it gives you a lot more leverage to use the same frequencies.
Nice.
So I had them going to 3 different amps, and then I had a pitch shifter that I would also use to broaden the palette as far as the actual pitches.
Okay.
So then that's kind of how we started piecing them together.
So that's what you were doing, and that was an evolution of something that you tried out in Votel. Initially, it turns out, because to kind of perform something like the guitar part on that occasion. So what a fortuitous series of events.
And then there's a lot of improv shows that I was doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd always have to listen to and find a spot to put something in. So
which is, I
with
think,
the pitch shifter, you can either take a high melody, or you can put something low through it.
Yeah. The improv show, was it like the Year of the Horse? Is that what it was called? I remember when I was talking with Claire in Tiny Death, she was explaining.
I don't remember what they called that.
Yeah.
There's like 3 or 4 different people that I was doing improv with, so like different projects. So.
Well, Votel started as improv, right?
Yeah, Nick and Eddie's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's, if I understand correctly, how the Tiny Deaths band came to be, because you were all together doing an improv night at some point.
Yeah, I met Claire doing the Basicetta project.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
So that was
that's
another
true. That's
thing.
also.
So that was around the time of Hotel Basicetta started playing. It was me and Mark McGee. And we would ask somebody
Maker.
to do something with us, and we found that having a couple cover songs for the first set made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So in that event too, he and I would get together with whatever third person it was, and we would try and figure out how to do this song. So it ended up once again being something where I would do a loop or play like in multiple registers at the same time to try and get the song across.
Was there something about the Russian folk songs or Irene's vocal style that led to the evolution of the process for this particular project? The pitch shifting, for example, or the way in which you were using those three.
So the Basicetta project that he was doing with Mark, they would have different people come in. So like Nona Marie came in, and Claire and Maggie and Abby Wolf and all sorts of different vocalists would come in and do it with them. And Ben and Mark said, Irene, why don't you do one? And I was like, really? So I came in and
so you
did
were invited.
one. Yes. That's how it started, now I remember. Because I came in and did one at the Red Stag, and it was like my first time with a microphone. And Abby Wolf was like, you can use my microphone. And I said, I don't even know how to work it. And she adjusted it for me, and she was like, it's my first time ever. And she was like, you're doing awesome. And she said she was like such a cheerleader, really, really. When we were talking about, supportive community in Minneapolis, she was so kind and supportive. And then after she was like, you could never tell it was your first time. It was amazing. Yeah. She was wonderful.
Yeah.
So that was the first time we played together. And then when Maggie had a solo show, she asked if Ben would open for her, and Ben said, Irene, why don't you come do the same thing we did with Mark? And it actually came under the name of Basicetta, I think.
Okay, so
that was me and Ben. That was our first show.
Where
and
was
then
that?
Mitch was there. That was at the Kitty Cat Club in 2013.
I read that you were invited to have a 3-month residency.
Yes.
Was after the first show? Was that the show? The Kitty Cat Club one?
Yeah.
Well, they just said that we could come back whenever we
Yeah.
wanted.
And the they was Ryan.
Ryan and
Olcott.
the owner.
And the
or
owner.
Whoever that was.
Ryan Olcott, who produced was he involved in producing all 3 of the EPs? Yeah, yeah. So you've got the 2 Ryans on your team, team which does not have an I in it. To quote your song team.
Yeah.
Ryan Olcott and Ryan Olsen, the 2 Ryan O's, and which is a good position to be in.
That was also very encouraging. That's true.
To have the 2 of them.
Ryan Olcott was like, "Whoa, I've never heard anything like this before. It's so cool." And then Ryan and Channy came to one of our shows in the very beginning. And Ryan Olsen was like, "Stop doing covers. Start doing
that was
more
his
of your
suggestion.
Own."
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, write 7 songs and record them.
Yeah.
And we did, right away. And it was really cool to get that encouragement.
And that became the...
And that was
Louis Meyer. Yeah. Okay. And we should clarify, I'm sure people know, but Ryan Olcott was in 12 Roads and is C. Kostra, and Ryan Olsen is in Police.
Yeah, and various...
many.
Yeah.
Neither of those people can be summarized in a short sentence.
Right, yeah.
So one of the many interesting things about the project is, of course, that it's mostly in Russian. There are some other foreign languages, I believe, in the mix, and there is some English too.
Yes.
Yeah. So which other foreign languages?
On the summer LP, there's going to be French.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about English, Russian, and a little bit of French.
Okay. And it began with the Russian folk songs.
Yeah.
And so, at what point did you make a conscious decision that was working sonically or for some other reason, and we should stick with that even as, following Ryan's advice, we come up with originals?
Yeah, I wanted to hear
Yeah.
Ben doesn't I don't want to speak for you, but he typically doesn't like to hear words.
Ah,
so
yeah.
So I never really... for Bob Dylan, I would listen to words, but other than that, I typically don't listen to the words. I thought it would be better.
I have to make an exception for Bob.
Yeah.
His words are good enough to listen to.
Fine, Bob Dylan, listen to your words in your song.
It's nothing that I'm not trying to be obnoxious about it. It's just like when I hear a song, that's not what sticks in my head.
Yeah, well, it says in the bio, I'm just going to quote from the bio, these dynamic soundscapes mixed with an expressive vocal approach presented in Russian provide the listener room to interpret and reconstruct the meaning of each composition to reflect more personally the listener's own experience and state. So I mean that seems to be important too.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Yeah. So it's not even just like what gets stuck in the head, but what enables you to really feel the song.
Yes.
And so I find it interesting that there is some English. And so in these songs where for the most part that's a really great description, I think, of what's happening. And then I remember when I first heard these songs, I was taken off guard by all of a sudden there's a sentence that I understand.
Yeah, I want to try to
and then that is meaning. Those words are extra meaningful.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was saying, suggesting that she do is just sprinkle English in very sparsely. And then it just gives you like a little island to kind of like get a little bit of meaning, but then you can make it into your own thing.
And it's almost like bait or like a teaser, like a starting point to like help in terms of the exegesis, like the interpretative process. Like here's a starting point, and now alongside like how this sounds, go on an interpretive journey. And in You and I, for example, there's the moment where a moment like this was suddenly taken off guard by You and I, we used to pretend. You and I, we used to imagine. And now it's all for show. So, what's the impact in particular of that moment do you think?
Of those words?
Yeah, of those words, but particularly in the context. So we can hear the song at the moment. Like I've edited in, I've edited in your music to the episode. So we can hear, we can't, but
Yeah.
they can hear, you can hear the song. And so yeah, so we're at that moment in the song.
Oh, okay.
And so not just the lyrics and not just the vocals, but the fact that suddenly this very direct address that those in the audience who previously couldn't understand suddenly do get a sense of what the situation in the song is. What's happening? What's the impact of that moment in the song?
Well, I think it's like you said, it's just a couple of words for people to grab onto, and then that gives you a theme to the song as a whole. So you can, if you want, imagine that that's what the song is about, if you want.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what it's about.
Yeah, but because it isn't Bob Dylan, you can also just choose to not listen. make of the song whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true.
That's okay too.
It's good and bad, right? Because it places so much significance on just that line that it could be a good thing, or it could, I suppose, ruin everything for people, because they're like, well, I don't want that song to be about that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's the brightest anchor to the
Yeah.
thing.
And then slightly later in that song, like at this moment in fact, we have I Don't Wait For You, and then sonically it gets quite, like, it goes to this new space, this more kind of, it's not like guitar distortion, but it feels, things seem distorted and almost dystopian. And again, there's a sense of things being awry, like, you know, human relationship, things not being right. And I think that's enough. That's kind of like specific and vague enough for people to inhabit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me as a fan of everything that Ben does, you know, I'm like I said before, when he starts, you know, winding these different sounds together, and I sit there and I'm like, this is genius, you know. And it's just, I love how it grows and how it explodes, and I'm just a big fan of what he does.
Me too.
Particularly with that song at the end.
Oh, yeah. And so is it always Ben doing something first and then you determining vocally and lyrically what should go with it?
The way we have written so far mostly is we'll just sit there and improvise, and as somebody new now not so new to music now, I've been doing it for a couple of years, but in the beginning we'd just sit there and improvise different things, and I would write things, and I was shocked how that just happens. It just comes out of you, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then in some parts, you know, we'll improvise so it's very messy, and then we'll take it and create an actual song out of it. So he'll say, you know, we'll do a chorus here and a verse here, and then he'll structure it and create an actual song out of it.
So it begins with improvisation, and then there's this working on the structure, and then by the time we get to the recording process, that's almost as distinct, or certainly you have a very specific way of going about the recording that's, I think, as important as the process that we've been talking about. So, and what is that?
Well, for the first one, it was pretty much just all live.
Yeah.
We did it all at Ryan Alcott's recording place. And I think it was just like 2 days or something.
Yeah, it was quick. We just got in there.
We did 3 songs one day and 3 songs
Yeah.
or something like that.
So not taking like a bit of one take and like punching it in with something else, which is the norm. That's the norm.
Part of the goal of the whole project was to not use backing tracks and not use any sort of any sort of pre-recording at all. So that's why everything gets created at that particular show or during that particular take.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that everything is going to be completely different every time, but it does mean that it's going to be slightly different and let you kind of go in different areas a little bit.
Yeah.
Behind the general skeleton. So when we did the first recording, it's typically I would just start a click to sync everything up, because with the multiple pedals, I would enter in the same BPM or multiples of that BPM.
Yeah, beats per minute. Yeah.
And then start the click so that you know exactly where you need to be landing everything on, rather than using a click tap. And that became kind of like the percussion of it.
Yeah.
Kind of like when somebody's tapping their foot in like old recordings of people playing.
Yeah.
With acoustic guitar, things like that.
Yeah, I could hear like a percussive like tapping, particularly in the song "You and I Again."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of seemed particularly notable in that song to me.
And then in the Mitch record was done differently in that it was largely done to learn how to record and get in sync playing with Mitch.
Yeah.
So that started out as a project to start recording more at home and getting him involved. So we just started recording some of the older songs that we'd been doing in practice to kind of get an idea of what we wanted to hear. Yeah. And then in that one, it was cut up a lot. So I would take, because we didn't. It was easier for me to explain to Mitch what I wanted to hear by cutting something up, and then having him hear like, oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about. Yeah. So that one got cut up a lot more, but still at the same time it starts out with just bass pretty much being all the way through, and the bass isn't really all that cut up. Right.
Yeah. So the other components were a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is that the same? So you're in the process at the time of doing the interview. You're creating Summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating Summer.
Yeah. And we're extremely excited about that one because it's the first time I think we've used these complete songs that we've written over the past couple of years, and they're, I think, our favorite songs, and they're more meaningful and they're more evolved musically and lyrically. A lot of stuff in the beginning was more experimental, and this stuff is a lot more purposeful and a lot more
I guess it's a little bit more structured.
Yes, not
because it was
it's
kind of a fun challenge. It wasn't something where we're not going to go back to doing the type of things that we did before, but it was a fun challenge to try and figure out how to make something that became closer to a pop song structure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And see how you could use the tools that we have on hand to do that all live at one time.
Nice. Yeah, that comes through in the title track "Summer" a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's like a driving dance song.
Yeah.
And so those songs aren't. The new record is not cut up as much at all as that Mitch record.
Ah, yeah.
The Mitch record I like a lot, but it was really a huge learning experience. I was learning how to use Pro Tools. I was learning how to talk to Mitch about what we were trying to get. He was learning how to play with us. Yeah. And how to. It's a strange setup to try and play with.
Ryan was still involved though in the production?
Yeah. So we after recording everything and cutting it all into place and doing a rough mix of it, then I bring it to him and he helps EQ everything properly and helps make it sound professional in general and kind of just get some of the rough edges off of the basic sketch that we have. Yeah.
So it's interesting. If the first record is focusing on women that are important in your life, it seems like there are either 3, or if we were to count Ryan as well, 4 male figures that seem significant for Mitch for the second EP. One of them is Mitch,
Yeah.
of course,
That's true.
and another is Prince, because the opening track is for Prince and called For Prince. So and that's what we can hear now. The other figure is Vladimir Vystovsky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're better at pronouncing his
Yeah.
many of these words than I am, of course.
Oh, you should check him out. He's amazing.
Yeah. So we'll zoom in on him to the soundtrack of One More Time, not the Daft Punk song, but your song, One More Time.
There's so many One More Time jokes in practice.
Oh, really?
Let's do it one more time. Not that song.
and the lyrics to One More Time are from Vladimir's lyrics.
Yeah.
So we'll turn to him momentarily. But the song we can hear at the moment is called For Prince. At what stage in the process of developing, and this is these are the two songs that were new for Mitch. All of the other songs, so in this segment we've been hearing some of the other songs from Mitch, Privet, Bridegroom, You and I, and Reverse.
And those are all redone from the first record.
Yeah, but sounding quite different. So you might you might recognize, that sounded a little bit like that earlier song, but I think there's more of a difference. It's not just the addition of Mitch, or maybe the addition
they were all re-recorded too. So
but the structures are the same.
Except for Reverse, he just put drums over the top of, but the other ones were all re-recorded. All the bass parts were re-recorded, all the vocals were re-recorded, and then Mitch's parts were put over.
Do both of those first EPs end with Reverse?
They do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
Mitch kind of wasn't even gonna. We liked the way it was sounding, so we figured, we'll just put it out.
Yeah.
But For Prince was written totally separately because we had been working on all these other songs, and then Prince died, and then we were just like devastated, like everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
And Ben does a thing with his friends where he just listens to certain artists at certain times. So he was just listening to Prince for like 2-3 months, and he was like, "We gotta write a song." For Prince.
Sonically, what are the components? So again, we can hear For Prince at the moment. What is it about the way in which this song sounds that makes it For Prince?
Tell him about the beginning of For Prince.
Oh, the beginning was something that I made up when I was in high school, junior high. And I always just liked that beginning part. So I put that on in the front of it. And then we used some drum beats that sounded a lot like Prince drum beats, and tried to write some catchier hooks and whatnot for the song that comes in right after the first segment of For Prince. So the first section is like kind of a fast dreamscape with her speaking through a filter.
Yeah.
And then she starts to say idolize, and
idolize.
We'll go into Prince.
Yeah. Yeah, and so before you say idolize, it's you almost, I don't know what you're saying, but it's almost like a narrator, it seems to, because it's more spoken.
Well, so interestingly, we had written the summer song before, so it's kind of a follow-up to summer.
Oh, really?
Like comparing the two summers.
Oh, wow.
Like heading into the new summer.
Yeah.
Because the prior summer was stressful and emotional. So that's what that summer song is about. And then
it's about a particular summer.
Yeah.
Your summer.
Yeah. And then For Prince is kind of following up on what has happened, how the summer is going to be different, and kind of, I don't want to say the ideas that you don't understand, but it's a follow-up to the summer song. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In that beginning.
Yeah. So is it more, and we'll hear the summer song in a moment. So,
yeah. So chronologically, it's kind of backwards.
Yeah. what are you? So for the most part, obviously, we allow these songs to mean what the listener wants them to mean. But it seems like, for you, with these two songs at least, with it being a response, with Four Prints being a response to Summer, it's how are you trying to distinguish? What are you trying to distinguish from what?
It's supposed to be like, even though Prince has died, the idea, like, Prince has died, it's awful, but it's gonna get better. Like, compared to in the past year, things are gonna get better.
Yeah.
And the political climate was so stressful,
Yeah.
and I was like, don't worry, everybody, it's gonna get better.
Thank you for being hopeful.
And then it just like became worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I remember wishing for the end of 2016.
Yes.
Like, let's just get beyond.
Yeah, right.
And,
And that's what that was. It was that 2016, such a emotional time, personally and politically, and so many people that we loved publicly dying and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And then so you're saying it's getting better and better at one moment, and
That didn't happen.
No.
that didn't happen. It seemed like it was
I
happening.
know, I'm like, liar.
But from your lived experience, it must be difficult to perform that.
It's really hard to do live.
Yeah.
We just did a bunch of drums on it, and then they sliced up the drums, and then I went in and recorded pieces.
Yeah.
And then Ben, so that.
So the most cut up, the most
it was done.
highly produced, unlike the first EP.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially the Four Prints song.
That one in particular.
Yeah.
It was written with us, not even in the same room. Like,
Well,
we all just did pieces and recorded pieces.
Yeah, which I suppose makes sense because with the other songs you already had the structures, and it was just a case of working out how to get it on the record with Mitch. But with this one, it was new, so you were.
Well, and we were trying to learn how to record.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah.
it was like I say, it was like a tutorial on how to record that we just ended up making available to the public.
Yeah.
So things like for Prince, it was a really good way to learn how to okay, what can we do to put all these chunks? How do we put these chunks together?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like a tutorial.
Yeah,
how to-
I was gonna say, it's a good song.
I like the song, but that was kind of the process was is putting yourself in the position. Okay, how am I going to figure out how to turn this into a song and learn how to put everything together using software and things. So it was.
And in the order of the releases, at least, it's a precursor to Summer insofar as the extra complex lyrically and the complexity of it, and the poppiness. There's like more of a poppy component.
That's true.
Yeah. It's more driving, a bit kind of dancey. I think that I might be wrong, but it seems like your vocals are the most varied. Like you shift from that narrator style to like the way in which you're delivering idolize as a kind of like mantra almost.
Yeah.
And then before we get to it's getting better and better eventually, about 5 minutes in, there's this really interesting like higher pitched refrain.
Yeah.
Which seems like a particularly like emotion. There's something really interesting happening at this moment. We can hear it at this moment in the song. It's intense and really powerful vocally. I mean, in all respects.
Cool.
But what would you say is what's happening at this moment? Do you know the moment that I mean?
It's just Prince. Yeah, it's just Prince. It's
Ah,
just trying to
it's like
different things that
Kiss-esque.
Prince has done.
So at different moments in the song vocally, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
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 Which-
Well, I mean, it was the whole thing is supposed to be how does Prince make us feel? How does Prince inspire us? How does Prince in different ways? So in some ways, I'm copying what he has done vocally, or trying to copy. And in some places, it's just a reaction to him, to his death, to what's happening in the world at the time. So it's not necessarily trying to. It's inspired by it. It's not necessarily
Trying to mimic.
Yeah.
It's your kind of response.
Yeah, to his death and his legacy and his life.
Yeah. Did you receive the proof that I have sent to you? You asked at one moment
so
in the
some of
suffering.
it. Yeah, the fruit.
The fruit. Oh, it's fruit.
Did you receive the fruit?
And then,
So
do you believe what we have made?
Yeah. So some of it actually are. It's funny. Some of it are these poems that my mom, or letters that my mom used to write to her friend in college.
Okay.
When she was in her early 20s, she would write these letters and she brought them to the U.S.
Okay.
And I've always loved, they're so romantic and the way they're written is so beautiful. So I try to sprinkle them into our songs because I really love them.
Yeah.
So that's what that is, and that's a translation. She literally sent her a package of fruit.
Well, how did you decide to translate that into English then? Given that
I said it in Russian also.
And then you repeat it. Oh,
yeah.
wonderful! Yeah. So, you were 11, I believe, when you emigrated from the Soviet Union at the time, and I was reading. There was a really good City Pages interview that you guys had around about the time of the first EP, I think, and that was with Sarah Stanley. Yeah. And you were highlighting. There was it was a really good sense of the two of you from there. Everything from your first date, and to the fact that you were. The film trilogy, 3 Colors, is something that brought the two of you
Do you know
together.
it?
I don't, but I wanted to ask if there's.
Watch anybody who's watching this gotta watch 3 Colors.
Is there anything like 3 Colorsy about the band? Is there any overlap? You just like it?
I just love
none
it,
of the same attributes.
Yeah.
No, I just love it. I mean, I suppose it's in there in general in my life because I love it so much.
But yeah, so you moved when you were 11 to the States, and you said in that interview, I remember a veil of not understanding anything around me, and then all of a sudden there was this moment of clarity where you could understand your school mates and stuff. Is something like that personal experience, given what's happening with language and foreign language in the band? Are you inspired by that experience and trying to recreate something like that?
I guess it's, now that you mention it, I guess it's exactly our music. It's, these moments of clarity in the words.
I get to feel like 12-year-old Irene. But
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You get to share your experience in that way.
That's beautiful, thank you. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, let's zoom in then, as we're working our way towards summer, and we need to stop off at the song One More Time.
Yes.
In the meantime, and the lyrics are from the Russian singer-songwriter, poet, and actor Vysotsky. Vysotsky. Okay.
Yep.
One more time.
Yeah. One more time. Good job.
And you have a background in theatre yourself.
Yes.
So there's that interesting affinity there. Him being
An actor.
an actor, a songwriter, and an actor,
Well,
and you also being.
He was just a genius. I mean, he was. People talk about Bob Dylan. He was like so subversive and so cutting, and he was almost like a comedian with music. You know? Like really political and super funny.
Can you give an example of his humor?
Can't translate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same if you translate it at all. Well, he would. The whole thing in the Soviet Union, because it was communist and it was so regimented, like all the humor was very subversive and kind of hinting, and So there was nothing very open about criticizing the government. So he did so much underground political
Yes.
music that was laughing at the government, at the environment, and he was forbidden. He was underground.
He was kind of banned, was he?
Banned, yeah. So people would get bootleg recordings of his. But at the same time, he was also like a famous actor, you know. In
He was an
theater.
actor first?
Around the same time, and he was a poet, and he was a musician, and he was really, really incredible. So that particular song is not funny. That particular song is about how everything's just horrible.
So this song that shares the lyrics with One More Time.
That it's his lyrics. Yeah.
So he has a song, but the music is totally different.
Totally
is
different.
that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Is his song called One More Time?
Yes.
And so what's the lyrical content?
Oh, it's like everything sucks. Like I'm drunk all the time.
Yeah.
I wake up drunk. That's the only way I can escape from reality.
Wow.
Everybody, let's just try it one more time. We all feel like, you know, nothing is sacred. The bar is not sacred, and the church is not sacred. It's just about everything being really awful. And then he says, one more time, is like, let's keep trying it one more time.
Wow. So there's an interesting connection in between that and Four Prince, with the Four Prince song also acknowledging how terrible 2016 was, with the hope of it getting better.
That's true. I think we're just like really like a little gloomy.
What?
A little gloomy.
I would say it's something about the reality, about the times,
Of
and
being human.
being human in 2016 and 2017, and
That's
trying to be hopeful.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's a resilience definitely in
That
both
is
of those
very
songs.
true.
When I was researching One More Time, Vistosky, I completely failed to say his name.
You should listen to the original song. It's
I
so
will do.
different.
Yeah, is it online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find it
Okay,
online.
here's a little snippet from it, in fact, in the episode.
Oh,
So
okay.
we can, and but yeah, I saw that he was initially he was commissioned to write songs for the World War II play The Dead and the Living.
Oh, he was?
Yeah,
don't know
I think
this.
that might have been like the beginning of him going from just being an actor to
Well,
music.
I know he always, even as a kid, he would write poetry. He always
Hmm.
wrote, but I don't know music, like if he wrote music. But
Yeah,
that's
it's like you and your
fascinating.
poetry that turned out to be lyrics.
I'm just like.
Flattering.
Yeah.
But yeah, and apparently he wrote a note for his fans in his journal. The first time that he performed these songs in the play The Dead and the Living, he wrote a note that says, "Now that you've heard all of these songs, please don't you make a mistake of mixing me with my characters. I am not like them at all." So for the most part, he would perform like, as an actor, there would be characters in his songs. I understand that he would be like veterans and stuff. Yeah, are you familiar with
I
this?
love this. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not familiar.
veterans, and that he would be like a boxer. And apparently, people with veterans and boxers or whoever would listen to the songs, and they couldn't believe that he wasn't actually a boxer or wasn't actually a veteran, because he's an actor and he's like really taking on the role, and everything from like intonation to accents, like he would
He did do a lot of
take
that,
these
yeah.
on, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that the song One More Time seems more confessional and personal, autobiographical, because he did have a drinking problem,
Yeah.
than I was expecting it to be, given that, he would take on these different roles. He would take on even like inanimate objects, so he would be like this mug or something.
He was amazing.
Was that for the political critique, perhaps, do you think? Or
I'm sure a lot of it
Yeah.
was, he was fearless. He was really fearless, and they always say that he kind of just burned out. I mean, like a fuse, because he was so intense in every way, and he lived in such a intense way, and with everything, with his interests and his adventures and his expression of his views and his chemical dependencies of
Yeah.
all kinds. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't just drinking. He did everything, to the extreme.
Wow.
And he just kind of burned out. He died pretty young, I think, in his
Yeah.
40s, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
yeah,
glad that
it's amazing.
I'm glad that the similarity between the two of you ends somewhere. That you're not too much alike.
And yeah, kind of by the book.
Yeah. So,
Controversial.
at what stage then did you decide to use his lyrics? Because it seems to be, given that the band began with the covers of the Russian folk songs, it's an interesting kind of harkening back to the genesis of the band.
Yeah, I think it's the only one we kept.
One of the first ones we did.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and it's the only song we kept because it's just so intense. And when I perform it on stage, I'm this close to falling over every time. Like, I get so emotional.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, because one day I'm going to fall over. Like, one day.
You're so kind of giddy and...
Yeah, I get so emotional.
Yeah.
During the performance of that song. And what Ben has done with it musically, I think, is gorgeous.
I think so too, yeah. Is that the song where, in terms of live performance perhaps, are you drawing most on your theatre background?
Yeah. It's
Which is appropriate given who he is.
And that song is probably the closest to kind of a really pure improvisational theatrical piece. It's not so structured, it's just very... I mean, we wrote it in 15 minutes. It was very...
But when you perform it, it does have the same structure each time then?
Yeah.
So it kind of evolved into this structure.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then let's move on to summer then. We're in the more positive summer. Things are better, apparently. And and we can hear the title track, Summer, which, as we can hear, is definitely
fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic, and driving and dancing. I love the bass kind of groove that we have here, and it has, so you're delivering the, summer. You sing the word summer. Is there the word forgotten in there as well? In this song,
in the English, yeah.
And it's not just in this, but also in Morning. I forget the color of your smile. I forget that we didn't talk for a while. So it's interesting that we're kind of remembering things in you and I, because we used to pretend, we used to imagine, so we're recollecting things from the past. But now we're forgetting. Is like forgetting cerebrally like an important idea?
Songs in general are very nostalgic.
Yeah.
The idea of, to me, I'm always like, and a lot of them in summer. There's a song called Tremolo that we wrote that's about me remembering my child. The words are about me remembering my childhood and these moments. I remember I'm like in a movie, these very cinematic, nostalgic moments, and that's how I think of music in general. To me, music brings back all these different memories and all these emotions, right, and places you in a certain spot in your life. So in general, it's very nostalgic to me.
So although there are those lyrics about forgetting, is it almost like the music is an antidote to forgetting?
Yeah, well, and just the idea of nostalgia in general. It's about memories and forgetting or not forgetting.
Yeah. So it sounds quite different, doesn't it, from the previous records? Maybe there's some affinity with footprints, and we were talking about that earlier. I was just quoting from Morning too. So we've got Morning and we have Summer, and these titles as well, I think, kind of give us I like those little bursts of English language. They give us a clue or a starting point, tremolo as well, as to how one might respond emotionally, what's going on. So with titles like Morning and Summer, what kind of feel, what is the, how would you describe like the atmosphere and the feeling of this record?
Yeah, to me it's, again, really, really nostalgic. It's, I think, our favorite things musically, our favorite things lyrically, our favorite things in general, what we like. So we sent you Summer and Team and Morning, right?
Yes.
So I think Summer and Morning are kind of romantic and nostalgic, and then Team is more angry. I think.
Yeah, Team, broken feelings never fucking die.
I know, I used to swear word. Then it's like, we're gonna have to put an explicit label.
Yeah, sorry to shock everyone.
It's shocking.
So what are we angry about the same things that are concerning in the song for Prince?
Yes.
Yes.
It's just like a tough time right now, man.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a tough time.
It's interesting, that one has more English language vocals than any other.
It does.
And is that because there is something that you want to say about the moment? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
There is no I in Team, they say, but everyone's so selfish. Is that correct?
Everyone's a selfish ass.
Everyone's a selfish ass.
Yes.
We are angry.
Yeah. It's an angry.
And this bit that I'm quoting from is like near the end of the song, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it kind of it is generally foreign language. Like this one is Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think up until that moment, and then suddenly we have lots of.
Yeah.
And it's riffing on the idea of team you, team me, team something, team three.
Team suffers, team free.
Team suffers, team free. There's 3 members of the band. Is that the 3 or is there?
Oh no, it's not.
Why 3? Why team 3?
No, free.
Free.
Not
oh,
free.
Okay.
Free. Team suffers, team free.
Yeah. So what are we saying about? So both lyrically and sonically, what is being communicated about the idea of a team in this song?
What was it? I think. I'm trying to even think how team came up. I think maybe I said something in Russian that sounded like the word team, and then Ben was like, "It sounds like you're saying team," and then I added.
And then it transformed into like how divided everything is right now, even within families.
Because the stuff in
like all political ideas and ideologies, and nobody's listening, and nobody's.
Yeah, it seemed bad before, but now just so much at loggerheads.
Yeah, and so at the end I say, you and I, a sovereign nation. So like, everybody's awful. We're just gonna stay at home and play board games.
Right. It's like, obviously there's, the Doomtree song, My Own Nation. It's a similar idea to that. But it's interesting if we're, the song's called Team, obviously, and it's kind of celebrating community or lamenting that the community isn't kind of functioning. So it's interesting and almost kind of tragic, this idea, like at the end of the song, a retreat to the personal, or to like the unit of just 2, because the song is yearning for something. A team, like a team is more than 2. A team, maybe a team could be 2 people, but the idea, it's not it's not celebratory, is it? When at the end, where there's a sovereign nation, it's like we're only able to function well in this unit of 2 for the time being.
Yeah. And the stuff in Russian, I don't even know if there's much about the idea of team. I mean, a lot of it is just so not purposeful, you know? It wasn't written with a certain purpose in mind. It's just different feelings get. I don't write like that. Like I love writing poetry and I love writing words and lyrics, but I never think, you know, this is good. I'm gonna make a statement and it's gonna be it. It just kind of comes out of me, and I literally can sit and write pages and pages and pages and pages, and it's just stuff that comes out. So it's not always done with a specific point. And then when
The second half was also written about 2 years after the first half.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So that
Yeah.
was,
So the second half, which has the English vocals in.
yeah, that was written 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's recent,
Yeah.
and that's speaking to this moment.
Yeah.
So
Whereas
what?
the beginning part was one of the first
Yeah.
originals. that
Before
we were-
Prince died and when everything was great. You know?
It was,
Yeah.
it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to put those two together? Then it seems like we go on quite the journey emotionally.
Yeah, a lot. So again, the stuff in Russian is not. I suppose, you know, when we talk about the meaning behind all of these things, they're not written with a certain meaning in mind. But then afterwards, of course, once you piece it together, you do want to say something in particular.
Yeah.
And usually it's about, you know, human relationships and human interaction and being, you know, sensitive or hurting each other's feelings, and it's mostly what all this stuff is about.
Yeah, the idea in You and I again, the idea of how pretending, imagining it. Yeah, there's, you know, the situation there is being aware of the promise at one point of a certain relationship, and collaborating to imagine and create something positive, and then now there's a show, like an unimaginative show.
And it's not necessarily like I have relatives that have said, "Is something wrong with your relationship?"
On the basis of that lyric.
Or just in a lot of things, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff in Russian is.
You have to write a note, like you know, like your doppelganger. Now you've heard all of these songs.
Yeah.
Please don't you make a mistake of mixing me with my characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting that we're so let's kind of close by thinking about like what kind of intervention the band is making then. Like if lyrically there's nostalgia and we're kind of thinking about these a tragic component of human relations where things go awry, where, you know, there's a lack of imagination, there's a lack of teamwork. But then we have this unit where initially the two of you, but then now the three of you are imagining together, collaborating together, being a team with no I in it. And also in terms of the performance, in that City Pages article, there was a description of I don't know if it was the first show, maybe it was the record release. Everyone was fascinated with Ben, who was like a one-man orchestra, in the description there, and then of course with your theatre background, it's very performative as well. It really seems like the band, like through doing what it's doing, is exemplifying something quite different from what we're ruminating on in the lyrics. If there's like the tragic, like humans failing, like.
Yeah, I think it's a reflection of that, like our love for each other, and our friends and music community, and, you know, various things like that, like various artists that have influenced us so much, and also at the same time being like, everything's awful.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, the awfulness of everything is a recurring theme, but then also the love for and the appreciation of specific people, from Mitch, who is like the namesake, to Prince, to all of the women that you're reflecting on in the first EP. So that really comes through.
You're very that's
You're
lovely.
very eloquent.
You're very eloquent.
Well, the music begins by
You're so
being
beautiful,
eloquent.
yeah.
I'm just kind of translating it, I
It's
suppose.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So we, unlike the viewers who can see the details about the record release magically on this picture frame right now, we don't yet know when and where it's going to be.
We do have an image that we want to use for the cover, and that's our son. And
is that the image that you showed me?
no,
Different. Okay.
I'll show it to you in a minute.
Yeah.
It's our son seeing the ocean for the first time in California, and he saw it. And
In the
he
summer?
Just started, yes.
Yeah.
And
In
he
the
just
morning?
started shrieking.
And
he just opened his arms, and it was like one of the most beautiful things
wow.
we've ever in general, like that human kind of awe at seeing the ocean for the first time. He just started shrieking. So that's what we want to use for the cover for our record.
Yeah, wow. And that kind of epitomizes both of the things we were talking about a moment ago. The love for and appreciation of particular people, in this case your son. But also the opposite of it being the case that we only used to imagine, or that we only used to have a certain positive attitude or relationship with reality. Like it's capturing this moment of what would be the right word for it? Wonder, perhaps.
Yeah, and kind of the vastness of like that idea of seeing, like, I can't say it as beautiful as you say it, like the how enormous and terrifying the ocean is.
Yeah, you
At
can
the
convey
same
it
time,
in
how
music then.
beautiful. Yeah.
Is there a song on the record that deals with the ocean as such? But
He has the first song on the record.
He does, yeah.
Is it named
We're
after
gonna-
him?
No, it's his piano recital.
His piano
Oh,
recital.
really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! So it's not. He has it insofar as it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Is
put
it just him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
He's playing a little what's a
Shepherd song.
shepherd song, Beethoven shepherd song.
Wow. And so, how did you decide to open it in that
It
way?
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's great, and it's a little hesitant. And
It sounds like his personality must come through in the
Yeah.
hesitancy. And,
yeah, he's just incredible. So yeah, it starts with that, and then it goes into summer.
Into the song Summer. Yeah. Yeah, and is it summer 2017, or is it like a past summer? Because again, like recollection is an important theme in the record, or is it just the idea of summer in general?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. See, a lot of these things, I don't know how we decided to make it the
You
main.
wanted to name it Summer.
Oh, well, very
I
nice.
think it might have been partially because of the picture too.
The
But I don't
picture,
remember.
Yeah.
and I love that song so much. I think
Yeah,
that
me
song is
too.
I
awesome.
think the
Yeah.
reason we called the song Summer is because we wrote it
In the
for
summertime.
the Totally Gross
Oh,
Party.
yeah.
Totally Gross National Product, which is
Yeah.
the label that you are
We
on.
wrote it
For the party,
the summer party that they used to have.
Oh, yeah.
So we wrote that in particular for that show, and then we just ended up calling it Summer.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and it will come out in the summer.
Hopefully, yes.
2017.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Yes, we're almost done with it.
Yeah, wonderful, yeah. And by the time that you're viewing this, then they are done with it.
Mhm.
And all of the plans for the show are finalised. You can see them
Yes.
just there. Here is your son on the poster,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, yeah, we can celebrate the summer and the idea of things getting better and the and community and each other
Yeah.
at said venue on
Yes.
said day.
Yes. You'll edit it in. It'll
Yeah.
be pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, exactly. It will be the Mitch. The episode will be like Mitch with the in terms of the editing, like,
Yeah.
splicing. It wasn't all one take. Cool. Well, on that note, I'm looking forward to being with you at the record release.
Thank you so
And-
much.
Yeah,
for
you're
doing
welcome.
this. You're so eloquent.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Again, it comes from the music. Like you can't eloquently discuss.
What was your major again?
Oh, English literature.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Perhaps. Well, thank you very much. I get to.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. There we go. We get to exemplify, being nice and polite.
Yeah,
At the
there
end,
you go.
at the end of the episode. More of that, please. It is getting
Yes.
better.
It's getting better.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll see you at that show. Thank you very much for tuning in to Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder. This is StoLyette, and we'll see you at the summer release show. See you there.
Are you right?